Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show. I'm Ron Johnson, and this is Locked On Sports Minnesota. On today's show, excited to release part 2 of the Eric Decker interview. We had a lot of success with it yesterday. Eric Decker, tons of stories. People love hearing from Gophers legends. So make sure you stick around for part 2. But today, we also have to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. It's a game coming Sunday, people. It's a game coming Sunday. The Buccaneers and the Vikings are two teams with two receivers who both want money. One's probably going to play, one may not. But we're going to make some predictions about this upcoming game, and we'll do that next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, I'm Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today's episode, I want everybody to know, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Just visit FanDuel.com/Locked On, or you can download the app as well on any platform that you use. That's the FanDuel app. You can get all the parlays. You can see all the prop bets. You can see the lines. But just make sure you visit FanDuel.com/Locked On to make every moment more. Well, as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, there's a lot going on with the NFL season. You got players being locked out of facilities. You got other players, and that's the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
You got people not being able to get into the facility, calling babies mothers. You got coaches saying, stop kissing babies. You're not running for office with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. I mean, this is you got Eli Apple's baby's mother saying, you can hurt my baby daddy and I will pay your fine. Like, this is one of the craziest starts to an NFL season. And that's what makes it so fun to be a Vikings supporter, a Vikings host, because it's not crazy here. Like, we're not dealing with crazy stories this offseason. I know we've had some in the past. We've had some crazy storylines. But this is one season that we're entering the week, and the week's not over yet. So it's early. It's Wednesday. This is the first true day of practice because you got the Wednesday, Thursday practice. That's hard. You got the Friday kind of like, all right, let's tone it down a bit. Then you got the Saturday walkthrough / run through, and then you got the Sunday game. So the week is early, but the Vikings are not caught up in craziness, Sam, and I think that's the coolest thing about this season. The only news was T.J. Hockenson got his money. There's no more back and ear infections. Justin Jefferson is possibly looking for one of the biggest contracts in NFL history for a receiver. And then you also had the Kirk Cousins, looking for a contract, but the Vikings kind of held off on it. Maybe they knew they had to get Hockenson signed, Justin Jefferson signed, and then maybe they'll find a 1-year, 2-year deal to extend Kirk 1 year. I think this becomes one of those deals. I think it becomes like a 1 year. Let's extend you one more year. Because when you look at what's in the cupboard or what's in the refrigerator, as we like to do, not a lot left in the refrigerator that could fall to the Minnesota Vikings where they feel like they can just cut ties with Kirk Cousins if their job are on the line. But this is not the show to break. This is not Ricky Lake or Oprah. We're not going to break down all the drama of the league, Sam. We're going to talk cold, hard facts. You can use these for your parlays on FanDuel, people, whatever you want to do. And Sam, it's funny. When I saw these questions, I'm like, this fits exactly into what I was researching because on the Vikings.com, we do a thing called Winning Formula. And we recorded it yesterday. It should be out today or tomorrow. But there was just two or three questions. And one of them talked about, like, who is my lottery pick? Who would I scratch off? And it was KJ Osborn. The reason I said KJ Osborn is because I look back to 2020, 2021, and 2022. There's a trend, not a mirage, I think. There's a trend with the Minnesota Vikings since 2020 in the first game of the year, every single year. Sam, do you know what that trend is? First game every single year.
Okay, since 2020. So
since
2020, they played the Packers at home, got smoked. 2021, they went on the road to Cincinnati, lost in overtime. 2022, crushed the Packers. Crushed the Packers at home. So, okay, so week 1, those 3 years.
The trend is regarding Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, okay. Yeah, he wasn't great in that Packers game. He was pretty good the last 2 years. Is it that did he throw a pick in each of those games?
No.
You'll have to help me. Help me out.
He targets one guy for some reason more than everybody else. So I don't know if it's training camp fresh out and it's like, hey, this is the guy that I'm comfortable with. This guy got an early start. So the last 3 seasons, Sam, and that's why I say KJ Osborn's a lottery pick. Because, you could easily say Justin Jefferson, but I don't feel like that's hitting the lottery. I feel like that's like, all right, I had 10 numbers I had to pick, and if I pick one, I win some money, and it's $50. It's Justin Jefferson, because you can 1 out of 10 chances. That's an easy way to, or 1 out of 3. Here, pick 1, 2, or 3, and you win. That's Justin Jefferson. KJ Osborn is more of a long shot, but this is why. One, Adam Thielen is leaving. He had 107 targets last year, 70 catches, 6 TDs. So when you think about that, those targets have to go to somebody. 107 targets are out there floating in the ether now for somebody. Now, KJ Osborn did have 90 targets. So I'm not saying he's going to have 200 or 197, because it's not all going to go to KJ, but KJ is going to be in the 100+ targets this year. I can guarantee you that. He will have 100+ targets as a receiver. Yeah, I think he will, because I think TJ Hawkinson was lower, but that's because he came late in the season, and he had like 80-something, and he came late. So I think TJ is going to be in the 100. I think Justin's going to be in the 100. I think KJ Osborn is going to be in the 100-target club. I don't know if there's ever been a team that targeted 3 guys 100 times, but I'm going to look that up as well. And I'm taking that into week 1 of the pregame show maybe, but I think he's going to be a 100-target guy. With that said, week 1 opener, 2020, Adam Thielen, 6 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2021 opener, Adam Thielen, 9 catches, almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns again. 2022, it did shift. It was Justin Jefferson, 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns is the kind of the number that went to his targeted guy, over 100 yards. And then, of course, the most targets. It was Adam Thielen twice and then Justin Jefferson. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to walk into US Bank Stadium and just say, hey, throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Here you go. Just have at it. Kill us with Justin Jefferson, and then everybody else figure it out. I think they're going to try to take him away. That leaves KJ Osborn, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. KJ Osborn is wide receiver 2 right now. There's no signs pointing to Jordan Addison walking out in that field with the 1 and 2 receivers. So it's going to be KJ Osborn. So that's why I feel like KJ Osborn is the lottery pick. I feel like he's a guy that's on the precipice of a big game in the first game, because it's going to be somebody. Now, it could be Justin Jefferson, because I know there's a new gritty coming out, and he wants to show everybody the Jet is gritty. I don't know what that is. I thought we were already seeing it, but I guess there's even more to this thing that look gritty, created a gritty just for Justin Jefferson. I don't know what else you can do. There's only and then you add stuff to it. I don't know where they're going with that, Sam. But
he did the fake injury gritty last year. Remember that?
He did do the fake injury. So I guess
the hammy. I guess
you can add to it. Yeah, I know, right? Like, don't fake an injury. But yeah, I guess you can add to it, do whatever. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be a jet. I don't know. But Sam, I know you had some predictions for me to make, and that leads us into this, because that fits into exactly where you're going with these predictions. Take it away.
All right. I think I want you to make a couple sets of predictions. So why don't you make a Sunday prediction for the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, but I'd also be curious to hear your season-long prediction for the quarterback. So why don't you go yards, touchdowns, and what was the other one I was going to do? Yards, touchdowns, and INTs.
So yards, touchdowns, INTs for Kirk Cousins for game 1.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, game 1, but maybe you could also do the whole season, because I think that'd be a good one too. Let's get it on record. What does Ron Johnson think Kirk Cousins is going to do?
I don't know before the season starts. That's the tough thing about Kirk Cousins.
That's the beauty of it.
I know.
The beauty of
so I'm going to go with this. So for the first game, I think for yards, this is the Buccaneers defense. I think they're pretty good, but I think he's going to be close to 300 yards passing. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to come out with the air raid offense. I don't feel like he's going to run the ball 50 times. I think this is going to be a pass-happy team. So I'm going to go over 300 yards for Kirk Cousins in week 1. Touchdowns, I'm going to say at least 3. I feel like in the red zone, I feel like somebody's going to have a big breakaway one, but I'm going to say at least 3 touchdowns, 2 for sure, but maybe 3. I feel like there could be a throwback, whatever. I don't feel like Kirk Cousins is a sneak guy. I don't think they're going to hand it to Ty Chandler or Alexander Madison, but maybe I'm wrong. This is just my feeling. I feel like, when you put all this into this team and this offense and Kevin O'Connell, I'm going to go there with that. Interceptions for week 1, I'm going to go 0. I don't really feel like, I know Antoine Winfield. I picked him as my scariest player on the Bucs team. I feel like Mike Evans could be there too, but Mike Evans, we may or may not play now. They're saying this is his last season. He might want to get traded. So who knows what's going to happen Sunday with Mike Evans, because now all the news outlets are heading in a negative direction about Mike Evans. So I'm going to go to Antoine Winfield, which could be a pick. I know he's going to try extra hard because he's coming back home, play for the Gophers. Now he's back in US Bank Stadium, so on and so forth. Grew up in Eden Prairie when his dad played for the Vikings. The stadium his dad played in, so I know his dad's probably going to be at this game for sure. It's going to be kind of one of those weekends for Antoine Winfield, but I think Kirk Cousins, a goose egg in the interception category. Now for the season, when I'm looking at like quarterback stats from last year, NFL QB stats. And so when I'm going through this, perusing the statistician, the stat machine, I'm thrown off a little bit by some of these numbers, because Patrick Mahomes, I can't put Kirk Cousins up there. So I'm not going to go like interceptions wise. Pat Mahomes was 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Kirk Cousins last year was 29 and 14. I don't think he's going to have 14 this year. I don't. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to clean some of that up. I think he's going to try to help him even more. I think Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 35 touchdowns this season. I want to say 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think he's going to be a 35 and 10 guy, maybe a 35 and 9 single digit. But I think 35 and 10 is a safe number to say for Kirk Cousins on TD to interceptions. Yards, Kirk Cousins threw for 4,500 yards last season. Patrick Mahomes threw for 52. Justin Herbert, 47. And Thomas Brady, 47 as well, 46.94. Kirk Cousins, I think he can get 4,800 yards. Wow. I think he can get 4,800 yards. I think he can throw for 4,800 yards. Again, because I just don't feel like this is a team that feels like they need to run the ball 30 times a game. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to, like, first down, not say he's going to be predictable because you don't know what play he's going to call, but I don't feel like there's going to be a guy that's going to run the ball on first down. I feel like his first 3 plays this game against the Bucs, his first 3 plays are going to be passes. Like, he's going to come out the gate showing the world, this is my offense. I got Jordan Addison now. I got TJ Hawkinson inside. Like, you don't sign a tight end for that much money. You don't have the highest paid receiver in the country, or in the world, sorry, and then you go out here and run the ball. You just don't. You don't draft a receiver in the first round and you run the ball. Like, if I had a crystal ball, I would break it, because I'd be like, look, the tea leaves are telling me everything I need to know about this team. So that's where I go. I don't know. What are your thoughts on those?
When you give me stats like this, 35 and 10 and 4,800 yards, you know what I'm thinking, Ron?
MVP,
because that would be probably a top 3 quarterback in yardage. He'd have one of the highest touchdown totals, only 10 picks. If the wins come along with that, if they get a dozen wins because of those numbers, that could be an MVP candidacy right there. So it's a very optimistic way to look at it, but I also don't hate it, because I think he is going to be pretty good this year. So yeah, I'm going to type these up and send them to you, Ron, so we have it on record that you said this before the season. Now, please. I also want your Justin Jefferson prediction. You can give it for Sunday, and then your Justin Jefferson prediction for the season.
I'm going to say 1,800 yards again. I think 1,800 yards is his floor right now, but I'm going to say 1,800 yards. Touchdowns, I'm not sure, because, again, this is now you add Jordan Addison to the mix. You add another weapon that can stretch the field. You add a TJ Hawkinson maybe in the red zone as well. I'm a little, and then you add a Josh Oliver in the red zone. We know they still want to do 2 tight ends in the red zone. So I think that might take a little bit from it, but I'm going to say at least 10 touchdowns, 1,800 yards. Oh, the catches for me, that's the one that's thrown me off a lot. Because there's been some interesting numbers. I mean, where do you go from here? You had 128 catches last year, 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns. So I think he's going to get 10 touchdowns. I think he can do 1,800 yards again. I mean, where do you go? Like 128? Do you go 150? You can't go 150 catches. But I will say he's going to be in the slot more. He's going to be targeted a little bit more. So I'll say 132 catches. 132 catches, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. I just felt, you know what? No, because teams are going to let him do that. I'm going to go 119. Let's go 119, 1,800, and 10 touchdowns. Like, I still think he's gonna have some big plays. He can make some big stuff happen. Maybe 120. I just don't see 132. I mean, even though he did 128, I don't know. Like, you add another weapon in Jordan Addison. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and you add that money to TJ Hawkins. You bring in Josh Oliver, and then you have 4 tight ends: Nick Muse, Johnny Munt. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff Kevin O'Connell has to do with all these pieces of his puzzles. But I do know the other tight ends can play special teams. So that's the other part people are forgetting, because I kind of forgot a little bit too. I'm like, oh yeah, Munt and Muse can be on punt, return. So that, kickoff return as well. So they'll be utilized on special teams. I'm guessing they were really high up on that list. And then what's your last one?
Last one. Let's do one on the defensive side. Who do you think
for this game, I'm going to say he's going to have like 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay. Just your normal 100-yard
Justin Jefferson day, yeah.
Yep. Hey, 100 yards a game gets him up to 1,700.
I think Kirk Cousins is going to have like a net flex, spread the ball around kind of day. He's going to be mic'd up or something. Like, he's excited.
That's got to be the emphasis. What do they do when Justin Jefferson's getting shut down? How do they get the ball to other people? That's the story of this offense, I think. Yeah. This season. So on defense, Ron, give me the sack leader for the season, and with how many sacks?
Sack leader for the season would be Danielle Hunter. I'm going to say at least 15 sacks.
Woo.
At least 15 sacks. I think Brian Flores' defense, the way they move, what he's going to kind of do with this 3-4 versus what Ed Donatel did, I think we're going to see a different Danielle Hunter. And then also, I'm going to say for the game, it's going to be Danielle Hunter with 1.5 sacks. I think the statistician, he's going to give him the hand on the back of the quarterback along with somebody else. He'll give Danielle the half. So 1.5 sacks to Danielle.
Yeah. So we're going to see a couple of these. And then kick down the door.
I wonder if everybody's going to do it. Like, because, this team is kind of new. Marcus Davenport, like za'darius was loud about the sack daddy dance or the 2.0 sack, maybe the quarterback dance. Marcus Davenport has been quiet. So I wonder what they have planned for is it just, hey, I'm going to just do what you do, bro, or do I have my own? So I'm interested to see, because
he didn't get to do it much last year.
No, and we didn't see much of Marcus Davenport though. So that's the thing. Like he's since he's entered the league, he hasn't stayed healthy. So right now, all signs point to healthy. All signs point to this could be a big year for him as well. Him moving around the defense. I'm going to be keeping an eye too on the number of places he lines up. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
On one of the shows next week, the football party or one of that. Like, that's going to be my kind of like, where did Marcus Davenport line up? Where in the world is Marcus San Diego? Like, that's what I want to do. Like, where is he lined up this time? Because that 0 should be easy to find. And maybe practice, he just put some, because PJ Fleck told us on the PJ Fleck show, he said every open practice, he did nothing that he did in the Nebraska game. He said every open practice, I did absolutely nothing in the game. He said, because there's nothing stopping a Nebraska coach from driving from Lincoln to Minnesota, because he saw in the media open practice scheduled for tomorrow. So the coach, hey, jump on the road, go down there, man, put on a maroon t-shirt, just go stand amongst the fans and let us know what you see with this team. There's nothing stopping a team from doing that. So he's like, look, all these open practices for the media, I did nothing. He said, I did absolutely nothing that I did in the Nebraska game. He said, the players knew that. We went into the practice knowing that. So for fans going to open practices, don't be thinking you getting intel. These coaches aren't stupid. They know y'all putting this stuff out there on social media and blah, blah, and people might come watch them, but it is what it is. But Sam, I don't know. What do you think before we jump into this Eric Decker interview? Who do you think the sack leader is going to be? Like, do you have a different person?
I think, I don't know if this is a little hot takey, but I think Davenport. Is going to have an explosive year, because he's just, the law of averages says he's eventually going to connect on some of these pressures. He's always been good at pressures. He just doesn't get home. I think if they find a way to get him on the field for 800 snaps compared to the 400, 500 he was on the field in New Orleans, then he could have a huge sack season. I'm going to say 12, career high 12 sacks. Marcus Davenport leads the team.
Ooh, okay. I like the hot take. Well, now it's time to jump into this Eric Decker part 2 of the interview. Also, we're going to release the full entirety of the interview on Thursday, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But the second part of the Eric Decker interview is coming up next. We have a word from our sponsors.
Before we get to Decker, let me tell you about FanDuel Sportsbook and the promotions they have going on right now. They're America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. Great deals like this. New customers can bet $5. That's all it takes to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, delivered to your account. You can put it on NFL futures, props, parlays, and other sports as well. You can also bet $5 and get $100 off the new NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube or YouTube TV, the new home of NFL Sunday Ticket. Watch all the games out of market across the country. You can watch football all day long with NFL Sunday Ticket. Get $100 off if you bet 5 at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Great place to get started. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and start making every moment more at FanDuel, an official partner of the National Football League.
Eric Decker, Gophers wide receiver, NFL wide receiver, male model, married to Jesse James Decker. When you talk about this, like you said, you wanted to be a dad. You're having your 4th kid, which a lot of people do 6 years after their last kid. And like you said, it was like I didn't think this could happen. But you guys are headed to kid number 4. And you're, like I said, you're not in your 40s, so you guys are still young. Like, because that's the key. Like, you're still young. You still have your knees. You can run around. But having kid number 4, 1, are your kids excited? And then 2, I'm pretty sure Vivi, how old is she now?
She'll be 10.
Yeah. So she's the oldest, right?
Yep.
So she'll be able to like feed the baby, help out. You know, I know she's excited about it, but how are the rest of the kids excited about baby number 4?
Yeah, I think it's just initial shock for everyone. Like, I thought she was playing a prank on me. Truthfully, when she told me, I'm like, there's no chance now. And, once kind of chewed on it for a couple of days.
What do you mean? What do you mean? There's no chance. There's always a chance if you have not done the finale.
It's so out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, checked out. Like, no, this is it. Like 3, but you don't get.
Like, I can say that I've had the surgery. I am done. Like, if we have a baby, like I'm calling the lawyer, because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm either taking you or I'm suing this doctor that said it was done. Like, so what do you mean? So you were checked out, you're like, we're not having babies, and then what happened?
Well, obviously it happened, and then I think after a few days, I'm saying the shock started to wear off. I was like, you know what, this is a blessing, 100%. And the kids were excited. They've been asking for another sibling, another sister, really is what they wanted for forever. And we're like, no, 3 is the number. We're a happy family. We got this down. And again, like you said, Vivi's going to be a great help. Eric is our second. He'll be 8 here real soon. He's going to be a huge help. Forrest is about to be 6, and he's excited. So, like, everyone's excited, but what changes is, all right, new vehicle now. Obviously, travel's going to be a little different. Find another bedroom to stick this child, right? And just kind of some life changes that, obviously fortunate to be able to have that accommodated, but, just starting over, like we got rid of the baby stuff. We got rid of the gates. Bringing them back in. And here we go. Diapers.
Yeah, I saw the announcement. I thought it was a joke too. I thought she was going to do one of those, like, she just ate too much or something, because like I see women do that all the time now. They show up, they act like they're pregnant. They do one workout and they're like, oh, that was just, So I was like, this has got to be. And then I started looking at because I even had to go to the comments, and all the comments were saying congratulations. I'm like, all right, wait a minute. Am I going to see a joke in here? Because some people were saying, like, are you serious? Is this for real? So like, you never know with social media these days. But speaking of social media, I don't know if it's your idea or your wife's idea. Your teammates have asked about this. We all are wondering. You keep ending up naked on social media. I mean, I know you're a cute, sexy guy. You're in shape. But what? I mean, are you just going viral? Like, is that the goal? Like, hey, we have something to promote, so let's go viral. Eric, you get naked, because I know you did it for your birthday, and now you've done it for like her cookbook. Like, what? Like, does she have to coax you into this, or is it just like, I'm doing it?
Sex sells. Whatever it takes. Help your significant other one out. Like, let's go. I'm just reading the cookbook for a little morning coffee time naked. That's how I roll. Just a little transparency into what real life looks like. I look I should probably get a haircut, but other than that,
like, can your neighbors? Do you guys have enough space, like trees, where your neighbors can't see you?
Yeah, there's privacy. I'm the guy that walks out when sun goes down and the kids are down in bed. I'm naked, jumping in the pool. Walking around the yard, like it's freeing in a sense to be as we were brought into this world, right? And be comfortable, walking around, like not having people judge you. So I guess maybe I'm a nudist. I don't know, but I enjoy my skin.
I'm about to say, yeah, you might need to talk to Channing Crowder. I don't know if you've seen his stuff on the pivot. Him and his wife go to a nudist colony. Like,
have they really?
Oh yeah. Him and his wife. Just Google Channing Crowder, nudist colony or Miami. Like him and Kevin Hart sat down and he made that comment on Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was like, wait, what? Wait, hold on. You can't skip. He's like, you can't just skip over this. Go back. Like what? And Ryan Clark is just like, all right, I'm gonna let y'all talk about this. Like we've already heard this story. And yeah, he says it. He's like, man, we wanted to try it. So we went to a nudist colony and just wanted to see what it was like. And it's like, he's like, but I'm not for like the old people butt naked getting eggs. He's like, I don't want nothing wrong with my eggs. And Kevin Hart literally was just like, wait, what? He's like, y'all are lying to me. He's like, this is a setup. So one day, maybe after baby number 4 is like 4 or 5 years old. Then you can do it. I'll just say for grandparents now it's 4 because I know you guys, the grandparents help out. What are their thoughts now taking care of 4 and not 3 kids that can feed themselves and do everything for themselves?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're excited too. They, Jess has now 10 cousins, and I got about the same amount on my side. So
okay,
it's definitely a full house. And I would just say, yeah, they're excited. Like obviously, it'll be nice. Hey, we need some help. Watch the big kids as take care of the infant or vice versa once the infant gets old enough. So, as you know too, it just takes a village to raise kids, and definitely lucky to have that support. And I know they're excited to add another nugget to the crew.
Yeah, and this year, man, like it's been not just this year, but like I feel like the last couple of years has been tough since COVID hit.
Yeah.
A lot of players became isolated. A lot of players were kind of on lockdown by themselves. Stories were coming out of players, being off by themselves, and Marion Barber passing away, and then we heard the Demaryius Thomas. When you think about Demaryius Thomas, and I know that was your boy because we've talked about it before. Like I've talked to you during COVID with the Vikings. We had a little stay-at-home series the Vikings did. And you talked about that. And, and then to fast forward to this, you talk about how great of a teammate he was. How hard was that? Or, what do you want people to remember the most about Demaryius Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, the dude had the biggest heart of anyone I've known. His upbringing, his story, being fortunate to be brought into a family that took care of him and provided for him as his, mother and grandmother were in jail, his father not around, and just the type of person he became is tremendous. And the way he gave back to his communities, the way he made other people feel was super special. And I think that's, always the biggest takeaway for me was like that smile is what I always say. It's like that smile transforms a room. And, it's just a blessing to have him in my life and miss him every day. And, what's hard too is his story towards the end is he had seizures and he got his driver's license basically taken away from him, so he couldn't drive, but he wouldn't tell anyone. And he was going to the doctor and trying to figure out what was going on. And like, talk about isolation. And I went through it myself as I transitioned. It's like you need people to reach out to and talk to, especially as men, and especially as football players, military, I think, or just as athletes in general. You think, oh, I'm tough. I just got to get through this. I just got to get to the next day. I got to get to the next opportunity. And what we really need is like, all right, I'm struggling. Like I need some help. I need to talk about this. I need support here. And that was the biggest thing that I found for myself going through, it's been a 3-year journey for me as well to kind of like find my bearings, because so much of myself, my identity, was tied into football, was tied into the success and, things that came with it. And the reality is that like, just we need a community of people. And I think that's where, as football players, retired football players, like finding that in your communities or finding that within, each other across the country is vitally important. And especially going through COVID, even more so. And I look at it now from the adolescent standpoint too. A lot of these kids, youth are struggling with the same mental health issues. And like, we need to figure out how to curve this. And, I know social media has added a lot of stress to it. And like, this is a big problem right now, epidemic, I really feel like in our country. And we got to, as men, as leaders, and as athletes who have been through it, I think we're at the forefront to help out.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've been like same thing. I was there way before that, but like 2007, 2008, I was there. Like I know the exact same feeling. You walk away from football, you feel like nobody wants you. You don't know what to do. You're like, hey, I'm gonna just chill. You think it's easy, and then day by day, you realize I haven't left the house. Like, I haven't done anything. I don't want to see people. I don't want to talk to people. And then, it becomes comfortable. Like, I'm gonna just stay in the house. I'm gonna play video games. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna do this. And at that time I was married. So that was probably tough on my wife too. Like, man, he's not. And then I got blessed with Tony Dungy calling me, hey, do you want to come coach? Sure. And the Big Ten Network offered me a job. And, and I don't know if I could have pulled myself out of that. I don't know what would have happened. But I do know I was thankful. And then, now 11, 12 years later, 13 years later, we're here doing this with NBC. We do the Vikings pregame show, the Gophers pregame show, the PJ Flex show. So it's another way to stay connected. But I do know the more I get a chance to talk to players like yourself, Nate Burleson, Ryan Clark, we all talk about the same thing. And it's kind of it's a weird fraternity that it takes somebody to reach out, because everybody's like, oh, this person's busy, or this person got, and then you realize, one or two text messages, you're like, man, like, yeah, that was cool. I'm glad I talked to him, And so that's what I'm going to personally do. I told a lot of younger Gophers that too, to make sure I reach out to guys, whether they're getting released, whether they're getting cut, whatever, because at 43, I've been there. And so, I think I'm an elder statesman now, where I can kind of tell guys, like, I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what you've been through. I've had my dad passed away. My mom had brain cancer. My wife has went through breast cancer. So I've seen a lot. A lot, but I'm thankful for your friendship, Eric. I'm thankful for everything. I mean, I still remember talking to you and Ernie, and I remember you saying that, like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna get that record at some point. And and slowly that year, every week I was getting text messages. And I tell you this too, man. I tell Ernie this. I told Rashad Bateman this. I told Tyler, like, I interviewed Tyler Johnson. I told him this. I am very thankful for you guys, and this is why, man. Like, if I were to sit on top forever and just 31 touchdowns, 3,000 yards, blah, 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 200 catches, like, nobody's going to talk about me. Nobody's going to talk about Gopher football. But every day you started to come, Big Ten Network was calling me. ESPN was calling me. Hey, like, Eric Decker's passing you, man. What do you think? And it's great. Then Rashad Bateman did it. Then Tyler Johnson did. It was fun. And so I think one of my best pictures till to this day is you and I, Tyler, Rashad, and Chris Altman-Bell after the Penn State win. That's still one of my top moments, just to see all four of us in the same room. Chris Altman-Bell is going to, he might finish as one of the top, but he's played for 7 years. So I don't know if we can count that. but that's one of the best moments, just because you don't see that a lot. And now I'm starting to see it because of, like, you saw Cam Newton with Bo Jackson. You're starting to see guys do that, like, get to these games, talk to the older generation players. So that was something, PJ and I have talked about that. That's something that nobody can take from us, man. Like, no matter what people say, no matter what they want to go do and talk about. And I know at some point you're going to be in the Gopher Hall of Fame, so I'll be there for that. Hopefully I'll be there for that. Hopefully I can make it to it. But yeah, I know you're going in the Hall of Fame. I know I just went in, so you got to be right behind me. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Eric Decker. I want to thank you. I did see the Jets hat. Like, are the Jets your love, or is it just that's the hat that was laying around and you want to cover your hair?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, Ron, this year.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
The Kool-Aid. A-Rod's in town. I was just up there a few weeks ago with my son, and I was like, all right, I love the energy is high. New York has a special place in my heart because I really enjoyed my time up there. Denver was always probably the most successful part of my career, but New York, we had a good season and a couple good years up there. But, like, just the people, the front office, the fan base, how New York and New Jersey are just wild. So I do want to say that I do love you too. Like, you paved the way, and you were always kind of that, like, pinnacle to try to strive for. And what I think now, as I mature as an individual, as a man, is that, like, you are a resource. Like, you're available, and I think that's so important too. And what I love about you is that, like, you want to help others be successful, whether it's at football, whether it's in life, career, trying to figure out the next step is. And I think, honestly, as a parent now, like, guys like you is who I want my kids to be around. So I really appreciate everything you've done for me in my career, but also just who you are as a person.
Yeah, man. Anytime, whenever you and Jesse come to town, if you guys want to go out and the grandparents, want to go, hey, my daughter, my 12-year, well, she'll be 13. She loves to babysit. She just babysat Gabe Henderson, who works for the Vikings, his 4-month-old by herself. We all went out to dinner. She kept a 4-month-old, put her to bed, fed her a bottle. So she's certified, though. She does have her certification for babysitting. She did it at the Grace Church here in Minnesota, Indian Prairie. So she's fully certified. But yeah, man, anytime, like we would love to, like my kids love kids. Like they love to.
What's the price range on it?
She's cheap. She's like $8. She's like $8 an hour. So she's very cheap. She actually, like when she babysit Gabe, we told her don't even take the money. We're like, no, this is like we're doing you guys a favor as new parents. Gabe Henderson's now the what is he? I think he's the executive director of Vikings Entertainment Network content. And so he's a good friend of ours now the last 3 years since he's been here. And yeah, they just had a baby, 4-month-old. So we were all like, man, I remember that time. I'm like, we got to get out to dinner. Like you got to get out the house, drop the baby off. We'll all go out to dinner. Because you don't want to be that disgruntled parent that never gets to do anything because you have a baby. And you know how it is. Like relationships can get strained because of kids are annoying. Yeah. They will ruin your relationship.
Yeah.
Because they don't know it. They don't do it on purpose. They just want time. They want to play. Like you're trying to, I know you and Jess do this. Like you're trying to have a conversation with your wife. You're into a really good conversation. And then here come the kids. Like, and they just want to talk. Yeah. And so we've learned now to close, like when we close our door, do not bother us. Let us talk. We're trying to unload for the day, have a conversation. It's made us closer. Like it's helped us through like tough times, arguments. Like we don't argue as much anymore because we realize like sometimes we argue it's just because we haven't seen each other. Like, I got 5 jobs. She's the dean of students at a high school. She's a track coach. So it's like, man, I look up and I'm like, I haven't seen you in like a day. And then, and then you're like kind of frustrated. And then you're like, well, like what the heck's going on? And you're like, hey, well, 1, we need to be a little bit more intimate. That's probably part of it. 2, we haven't talked. And so we'll just, sit outside on the deck or have a drink or, just sit in a room, like lock the door, sit in a room. Like we've even done now, which we love because we just moved. We have a bigger walk-in closet now. So we actually can just sit in the closet. Like we'll lock our door and then go to the closet because the kids are so dumb. They are not dumb. Sorry. Well, they are. They walk or lazy. Sorry. The word's lazy. They'll walk in our room and not see us and then like go look for somewhere else.
Yeah.
Cause they're like, there's no way they're in the closet. And it's like, yeah, we're in the closet. We just like, she was in there, I don't know, changing clothes maybe. And I just came in and we just end up sitting in the closet for like 30 minutes talking. And so I will say that, to all young couples, especially you guys with the new baby. Yeah. If you come to town for a Gophers game, hey, let us know. We'll definitely, we love the babies. We love the kids. So I'm thankful for you to even say that. Cause you just never know, man. And I tell people like more conversations, more talk, more text. But last one, I had to say it. You brought it up. I wasn't gonna bring it up. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. You were around there. I saw Braylon Edwards went out there. Mark Sanchez, like everybody's back to be it. Bart Scott, like everybody's going back out to the Jets now. Now you guys have Dalvin Cook from the Minnesota Vikings as well. Do you feel like this is the year 1 for the Jets media to take over the Giants media because the Giants kind of own New York, but now is this going to be a Jets year? And then 2, which has happened before, once or twice. Brett Favre did it, and then the playoff year. I don't. Were you on that team with Bart Scott with the Can't Wait?
That was the year before. It was like 2010.
Okay, so the Can't Wait year, I know the media loved them too. But do you think this is actual a chance to go to a Super Bowl with the team they put together?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, the season's got to play out, and I think it really comes down to who can stay the healthiest, obviously. And they got a tough schedule, but like what I'm afraid of is every week's going to be a Super Bowl. The media is going to say, oh, they win, they're the Super Bowl champs, they're favorite. They lose, oh, they're just the bust. It's a long season. So I really think that they have. I mean, their defense speaks for itself, and that's really what's going to get you through a lot of this season and into the playoffs. And so you got a guy like Aaron who, again, can kind of manipulate this protection. He's got some really talented guys. Garrett Wilson is like one of my favorite guys to watch. He is so quick, so fast, but just a really good dude. And now you had Cook, and you got the running backs they have had already in the room. Like they got talent, and so this is their best shot for sure over the course of I guess really the last 10 years. 2015, we should have made it. I mean, we kind of laid an egg the last game, but we had a good squad as well. So yeah, like I told you earlier, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. This is the year. Like I would love to see them run the table and go to the Super Bowl because I'm all in.
Yeah, we were supposed to make this quick, but Eric Decker is just so good, so much content, so much stuff to talk about. I had to keep going, man. I could ask you questions for hours. Like this could be its own special because there's so much in there. Like with the Jets and Sauce Gardner. Like Sauce Gardner went to my high school in Detroit. I remember my dad passed away. That's the way this thing works. Like my dad passed away in 2018. I went back to my high school to speak to my high school just about focus and the tough times I was going through because literally after my dad passed away, I buried him. Came home a month later, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I never grieved still to this day. Like I know one day it's going to hit me and I'm just going to be a absolute mess. But I've never truly grieved my dad because we went right into like, what do we got to do? She's 37. Like, what do we do? And it's chemo and it's this and I still had to worry about, Gopher shows and Viking shows. And I had to push through. Like I couldn't just quit. And I remember talking to the Gopher, my high school team, the Martin Luther King Crusaders. And then later, somebody reached out to me when Sauce Gardner was coming to Minnesota to play. They said, hey, man, he was on that team. He actually was the guy sitting in front of you. So I had somebody sent me the picture and I'm like, oh, Sauce Gardner was. So I texted him like, yo, like, hey, man, I don't know if you remember, I came and spoke to you, me and Larry Foote and blah, blah. And he's like, oh, yeah, man, just catch up with me before the game. And so get on the field, talk. So, it's one of those things where you never really know when you talk how you can impact the future. And so for you to say that, like Sauce Gardner is one of those kids where I remember talking and who knows where he would have ended up, who knows if, he would have kept doing the right things. But I told those guys like one mistake, and this, you've been around teammates, have done some dumb stuff. One mistake can change your entire life and you might recover, but you'll never recover the way you should have or could have if you hadn't made that mistake. And so that's why I'm glad Sauce Gardner stayed out of trouble, went to Cincinnati. Now, one of the number one cornerbacks in the NFL. So when you talk about that team of Garrett Wilson and watching him and Sauce Gardner, it's like, man, this team could be really good.
Yeah.
This team could be really good. And I'm glad the Vikings don't have to deal with them until maybe the Super Bowl. That's one of the positives. I can actually cheer for Aaron Rodgers now. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I've always liked him. I definitely appreciate his game. So now it's fun to see that. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Eric Decker. This is a Ron Johnson Show. Hanging Ron Johnson segment. Coming up next, we got the Daily 3. I don't know how it's going to be really short today because Eric Decker, we just took a lot of time with him, but we had to because there's so much to cover. And for those that want to see Eric Decker naked, just go to his Instagram because there's going to be something there. But, man, congratulations on the baby. Good luck, and we'll catch up for sure this season.
Thanks, Ron.
Well, Sam, I always love catching up with Eric Decker. I'm going to make sure I get him back at some point in the Gopher season, especially if they're undefeated. We got to talk Gophers football more when they're undefeated. But I want everybody to know SiriusXM is a proud partner with Locked On Sports. Make sure you tune into the Twins. They're playing the Guardians this afternoon at 12:10 p.m. Catch every pitch of the hometown broadcast on the SXM app. Just search Twins. Make sure you download it on whatever platform you're using. Just search XSM or SiriusXM, free for most subscribers. Well, it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions. Take about 30 seconds each day. We went long on the open, but we had to talk about Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins coming into this first game. I'm super excited for some Sunday football, but take it away, Sam.
Chiefs Lions tomorrow, and the plot thickens a little bit with the Chiefs. Travis Kelce left practice with a hyperextended knee. The star defensive lineman Chris Jones is holding out. Do you still like the Chiefs to win on Thursday against Detroit, or can the Lions pull an upset, Ron?
I think the Lions can pull an upset, especially if Travis Kelce is either playing and not 100%. We already know Dan Campbell likes kneecaps. So Travis Kelce, maybe doesn't want to play against them because he's like, look, my knee already hurts and they're going after kneecaps. But terrible joke. But when you think about Chris Jones and with his stuff, with his contract, I don't feel like they're gonna get it done. I mean, they only have one more day. So the chance of them getting it done and him being ready to play is probably not going to happen. So lack of a pass rusher, possibly lack of his number one target. They've never been considered, a top receiving group. I don't know. I think the Lions are prime. I feel like every week something's going to happen where the Lions are going to end up having a extra help for them to win. This might be the Angels in the outfield season for the Lions. It just could be that. I don't know. But what do you think?
I don't know. I just think that Mahomes can get them past any obstacles. I think that if Noah Gray is their starting tight end, I think that Mahomes will find a way to give him the ball. I believe in the Chiefs to win this game and stop the hype train just for a week. Stop the hype train. All right. Number 2, the Gophers threw it a surprising 44 times against Nebraska last Thursday. They've got Eastern Michigan coming up. Do you expect the Gophers' run-pass balance to flip back in the other direction in week 2?
This is what I say about PJ Fleck. He said he's going to do what is required. So they threw the ball not needing to come back. Like a lot of people say, oh, they threw the ball so much because they were losing. No, they threw the ball because that's what they're good at. Ethan Kaliakmanis has a strong arm. We've seen that. If you know against big-time games and teams you're going to need to throw, don't run the ball against it. You know eventually you'll be able to run the ball. Like you'll find ways to get comfortable running the ball. This is the time to let Ethan Kaliakmanis throw for 300 yards. So I think they're going to still stay balanced. They're going to want to try to establish the run because honestly, if you can get the run going, it's a pretty simple game and you bleed the clock out, less likely of a turnover. But I think Ethan Kaliakmanis is the answer for this team. So I think they're going to throw the ball. I don't know about 44 times, but I think 40, like I think over 40, like I don't, maybe 44 again. I don't know. I just know PJ Fleck is going to do what is required is what he says. So.
Yeah, I guess it depends, too, on how much of a fight they get from Eastern Michigan, because if they're leading big in the second half, that's obviously going to become a run-centric game plan. But if it's tight, might go back to the air with Ethan Kaliakmanis.
Eastern Michigan has a better road record against Big Ten teams and wins than some Big Ten teams have, which I'm guessing is maybe Rutgers. I don't know. I haven't looked into that, but I know somebody brought that up, that Eastern Michigan has won more games on the road against Big Ten teams than some Big Ten teams have like the past year or two or something. I think it's Rutgers. I'm guessing. That's the only win I can think of. Maybe Nebraska. I don't know. I don't know how bad they were on the road either.
Probably pretty bad. NFL question to close, Ron. Which last place team from last season do you expect to improve the most in terms of win total this year? The Jets, who were 7-10, the Broncos, who were 5-12, or the Bears, who were 3-14?
Well, if I had to put a number and say 3 wins improving for all of them, Jets to get to 10 is going to be harder. Broncos to get to 8 is going to be harder. Bears to get to 6 is going to be the easiest of the 3. So I'm going to say Bears. I think 3 wins improvement happens for most of these teams. I don't know about the Broncos, though. Like this new information from Sean Payton about Russell Wilson. Either he's a super genius and he's going to get Russell Wilson to change, or he's going to screw it up and be like, look, I didn't really want to be here anyway. Like, or I don't want him to be here. So maybe I can get him to go to Las Vegas. Who knows? Who knows what the plan is? Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be fully healthy and they're going to make another trade. I want Jimmy G in Denver because Sean Payton with Jimmy G might be legit. It might be a straight up trade here. You take Russell Wilson, I'll take Jimmy G. We both can start over again. But no, I think the Bears have the best chance to win 6 to 7 games. And so that's going to be the biggest improvement.
I think the Jets. I'm going to go Jets to win like 11 or 12 with that defense and the quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook. I think the Jets. I'm not sold on the Broncos at all. Although
12-5 for the Jets. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, the story on Peyton yesterday from Seth Wickersham at ESPN, very, very good.
Was that including the Russell Wilson kissing babies?
That's where the quote came from. Was this big feature on Peyton, and Peyton just sounds like the most vindictive, like kind of grudge holding guy you've ever.
Oh, he's gonna scold, chant. He's gonna do it all. Like he's ready for everything coming his way this year. I think he's gonna be super petty. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you guys check out the full Eric Decker interview tomorrow. We will release the entire interview in its entirety. It was a great time to sit down with Eric Decker. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. Looking forward to some post-game stuff with the Vikings this next week. We finally have real football. So it feels like football season is officially back, but probably not until Monday or Sunday around 12:07. I think that's when we'll feel it, Sam, when the kickoff has happened and we're sitting in our seats, eating popcorn, and we're getting to some Vikings versus the Buccaneers. But I'm Ron Johnson. Again, that's Sam Ekstrom. I want to thank you guys. And remember, you can check out the football party 4 days a week. Just follow Locked On Sports Minnesota on Amazon Fire, Roku, and on YouTube. You'll get all the content, all of our shows. Thank you. Have a great day.